Welcome. Let me start out by saying, yes, I know Valentine's Day has passed. I have simply missed the mark on Valentine's Day. It is still February, so I feel like, the whole month of February encapsulates Valentine's Day and the vibe of love. So, in honor of all of that, I decided that I was going to read some romance books. Would it have been the smart and appropriate thing to do to film and post this video for Valentine's Day? Yes. But I don't always do the smart and appropriate thing. Now, let me qualify that even further and let you know that probably only one of these books that I have on my TBR for the week actually qualifies as a true romance book. Just stick with me here. Also, if you're wondering how the book buying ban is going, it's not. I already broke it. So if any of you know, I am not a big romance reader. Since starting my channel, I have dabbled here and there. I have enjoyed some romance books, but I feel like there haven't really been any that hooked me in and really absorbed me into the romance genre. I haven't found any books or series that have really made me want to call myself a romance reader. And that is absolutely no hate to the romance readers. If that is what you like to read, I love that for you. It's just that romance alone as the plot doesn't quite do it for me. I love a good subplot of romance, like even a heavy subplot of romance. I just need a little bit of something else to go along with it. So, in order to start this video out kind of on theme, I think I'm going to start with the one book that I think actually falls under romance. The other two I think are more romance adjacent, but we'll get to that. So the first book I want to start with is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I have actually had this on my TBR for a while, but I was saving it specifically for this time of year around Valentine's Day. I don't know, this book just gives me Valentine's Day vibes, even if it has nothing to do with actual Valentine's Day. I think it's just because the cover's red. I have heard really, really good things about this book, and just honestly, Abby Jimenez in general. I have not read any of her books, and one thing that people talk about a lot with this one specifically is representation we get with the male main character. I guess he has pretty heavy anxiety or like social anxiety, and if there's one thing I have, it's anxiety. It's medicated, but it's anxiety. So yes, I'm gonna go start this and then I will be back with my initial thoughts as a non-romance reader reading romance. Y'all, I got this matching set from TJ Maxx the other day. Tell me I don't look like one of those vintage sailors. Literally the only reason I'm keeping it is because it feels like I'm wearing pajamas, but let's talk about this book. I read about 100 pages of this yesterday, and I am already so pleasantly surprised. I've even been annotating a little bit. Not really annotating, just kind of like underlining quotes here and there and tabbing them, but it's still something. But if you haven't already read this, this is about two doctors at a hospital. They kind of get off on the wrong foot with each other, and they've started to communicate with each other through little like notes and letters that they will leave for one another. And let me tell you, this might be closer to fantasy than romance because men do not communicate the way that this man does, even if it is through a letter. I also find myself very much relating to the male main character, which is interesting and surprising because normally I don't even like to read books with male main characters. Sorry. But yeah, so far I find this to be very enjoyable to read. I find it very sweet. I've even been smiling at some of their letters, like physically reacting on my face, smiling out loud. Also, I have not found her writing to be cringy at all, which is normally an issue I have had with some of the romance books that I have tried to read. Normally I find the writing, the dialogue between the characters, like just the inner narration to be very cringy, and it does take me out of the book. But like, she even mentioned TikTok and I wasn't mad about it, so that definitely says something. So far so great. I'm definitely understanding why everyone has such good things to say about this book, about Abby Jimenez in general, and I'm very excited to see how this continues to progress. Realized I never really explained why I feel like I relate to the male main character. His name is Jacob and he has a lot of anxiety, specifically social anxiety. And we do get his point of view. We are in his head, so we are seeing his exact thoughts. And I swear I have had every single thought that this man is having. And listen, I know that a lot of people have anxiety. I am not saying that I am special in that regard by any means. I know a lot of us are in this together. And I think that is probably why so many people like this book so much, is because they do see themselves in one of the main characters and they can find themselves relating. And I have dealt with social anxiety for honestly probably all of my life. I am 100% an introvert, and just every part of this book where the main character is overthinking everything he does and going over and overanalyzing every single interaction he has with the other characters, and just becoming so self-conscious in every single social interaction. Like, I have felt all of those things. And he's talked specifically about how when his anxiety gets bad, he kind of like retreats into himself and he comes off in a way that he doesn't necessarily mean to. He comes off as maybe rude or just not a friendly person. And that just makes me think about how for such a long time I was so terrified of embarrassing myself in front of other people or feeling judged by other people that I almost like shut so much of myself away. I dimmed so much of my personality or put up a front or retreated into myself and like rejected parts of my personality that I felt were too vulnerable almost. Like, I shaved off so much of myself that I did come off as very cold and hard, emotionless, probably even rude to some people. And that was mostly in like middle school, high school, parts of college. And obviously I've grown so much since then. Like, obviously I'm not the same person that I was in middle school. If I was, I would probably be so highly annoyed with myself. Anyways, this is just like one specific area where I've just decided to let myself breathe. And I'm just so happy that I did, because not only is it easier to just let myself exist, but I probably also never would have started doing this, filming myself and posting it for people to see. I don't know why I decided to go on that little tangent, but if you've ever felt this way, or you do feel this way, I'm with you. Medication also helps. You guys, I am feeling like such a hypocrite at this moment in time, because I am absolutely eating this up. I am having such a good time reading this book. Or I might be like right at halfway through. Yeah, I'm like right at halfway through. The entire time I've been reading this, I have just been having this feeling that I could not identify. And then I realized it was literally just happiness. This book is just making me feel good and happy and full of joy. And that should tell you something about the types of books that I normally read, because I literally just was not used to the feeling of pure happiness. But I will say, I feel like we're getting to the part where things get a little bit messed up. You know, something happens, they have to resolve it, and then they go on to live happily ever after. Like, I know a lot of romance books have kind of like that third act breakup where there's some type of issue, there's a miscommunication, you're supposed to feel like you don't really know if they're gonna make it or not, and then they figure it out. And I literally just don't even want that to happen in this book. I don't want any of the drama. I don't want anything bad to happen between them. I want them to be happy and together and to just keep the good vibes rolling. I'm just so surprised with how much I like this. And at this point, I really don't think there's a way for like the second half of the book to go so badly that I'm not gonna like it, but we'll see. I knew it. I knew it was coming. Now I understand why so many people get so frustrated with the miscommunication trope, because you literally just want to yell at these people. I thought we were fine. I thought we were fine. I literally thought we were fine. What is going on? Are you serious? There's more. There's literally more. There's literally this much left in the book. This much left. How are we not at happily ever after yet? The whiplash that I have from the last 10 pages, not even 5. So many things are happening right now. Guys, this was the sweetest thing I've ever read in my entire life. I have to say, I very much understand the Abby Jimenez hype. This was such a good, reset book for me almost. It was such a feel-good, overwhelmingly sweet story, but there was also just the right amount of conflict to balance it all out, to make it so the sweetness and the love wasn't too much, it wasn't cringy whatsoever. The way that this wrapped up and ended, and how she fit everything together, and there were all these little perfect things that came together in the end, I just feel so good right now. And I say this is a good reset book because I read a lot of very dark, intense books most of the time. And if you think you have similar reading habits, this is just the perfect type of book to read in between all of that. When you feel like you need a little breather, a little refresh, a little break. Yeah, I very much loved this. I very much had a good time reading this. I think that she wrote the emotions very well, and people expressing their emotions or trying to express their emotions and not quite knowing how. It was very well written. Also in the book, they kept referencing this bakery. He would always get her cakes or cupcakes from this place called Nadia's Bakery, and I read her little bio in the back. That is Abby Jimenez's real life bakery. She mentions her own bakery in her own book. And I think that's a little bit iconic of her. So I will be reading the rest of her books. This video is just off to such a great start. However, this is where we start to take our turn. This is where we officially start to move away from romance. I have decided that it is finally time for me to start reading Normal People by Sally Rooney. And I know you may be thinking, what is she doing? That is absolutely not a romance book. That's why I said kind of. That's why I said we're kind of reading romance. But I know that so many people absolutely love this book. I've obviously never read it. I've never watched the TV show either, which people also die over. And I decided that I'm finally ready to have this experience. I have to say, I really don't have a lot of expectation. I really don't have any idea what this is about. I know it's about 2 people. And again, it's not technically romance. I think it's closer to literary fiction, but it is about a relationship between 2 people. So that's why I'm putting it in this video. A lot of people say that this book and this experience destroys them, and it's sad and it's heartbreaking and they cry. I just know there is a lot said about this book. So it is a little bit shorter. I think I might be able to maybe read it all today or today and tomorrow. I don't know. I'm excited. So I'm about 100 pages into this now, and I simply don't really feel or think anything about it yet. And 100 pages really isn't a lot, but it is almost a third of the book. So I don't know about this. Thus far, it has just not brought out any strong feelings or thoughts or opinions. I will say, I don't know if I love the way that the timeline bounces around. Like with each chapter, it changes. It'll say, like one chapter, it'll say 2 days later. And then the next chapter, it'll be like 4 months later. This is about Marianne and Connell. If you don't know, quick, brief summary. And they start a relationship in high school. And Connell, he doesn't want anyone to know because Marianne is kind of like this weird girl. She doesn't run with the popular crowd. And that's kind of shitty. And I'm trying not to judge him for it because I'm trying to go with the flow of the story, but that's how things started. Now we're in college. They are in college and things are very different. So we're just getting these huge like jumps in time and we're missing like these chunks of what happens to them and their relationship, and we kind of get the details told like after the fact. I think that's how it's going to be for the entirety of the book, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just don't know if I love it. So it is now the next day. I read a little bit last night. I read some this morning as I was drinking my coffee. I am now up to page 190. So I'm almost 200 pages in. I haven't been giving a lot of updates for this because one, it is a short book, but two, I just don't really have a lot of updates. Overall, I am feeling very, very neutral about this. It's really not making me feel one way or the other. Like, I'm not necessarily bored, but I'm just kind of reading it and I'm like, okay, like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know if I feel anything. Yeah, I guess that's my update for now. I'm probably gonna finish this and then we'll be back and we'll see if anything has changed, but I don't know if it will. I'm still gonna watch the show after this just because I know people absolutely love the show. So I still wanna see if the show is maybe better than this. I don't know. We're not feeling things right now. Friends. So last night I finished Normal People and then I ended up starting our last book of this video, which I'm sure you saw what that was. But before we move on to that, let's discuss this. My feelings are more or less the same. I'm still feeling very neutral towards this. I don't feel like there was anything necessarily about it that I absolutely loved, but I also don't really have anything negative to say about it either, which I know this is kind of a boring take on this, but it's the truth. I also know for the sake of this video, I was calling this romance, but that definitely does this quite an injustice. I will say that this was a love story, but it was definitely not a romance. And I can say I do appreciate this for what it was, for what Sally Rooney did achieve with this. It is a book about two normal people. It is a book about two people rotating in and out of each other's lives, how they fit at some points, how they don't, the differences between them. I am also avoiding making any definitive statements about how I feel about this book because I do think that this is the kind of book where if you take it at face value, you're not going to like it and you're not going to fully understand it. I think this is the type of book that once you finish it, you need to let it sit. You need to let it simmer. You need to think about it and process it in order to truly appreciate it. So yeah, feeling very new. I can't understand how people love this, but I can also understand how people hate it. I did start the show last night and I think I'm going to like it better than the book. So I am excited to keep watching that. Now moving on to our final romance book of the video, I have another fan favorite, and that is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I did start this last night, but I am only about 70-ish, 80 pages into it. This is another one that I am very, very, very interested to see where I fall and how I feel about this book. People are constantly talking about this series, how much they absolutely love these books and love these characters, and I think one of the last ones in this series just came out, so like all the hype is, I'm just seeing all the hype right now. People love Jessa Hastings' writing. They're so invested in these characters. Like, just the way that people love these books so much, I finally need to see for myself. I need to see for myself what everyone is talking about. So because I'm like 80 pages in, I'll give you my initial thoughts. First of all, I am understanding what people say about her writing. It is very beautiful, very lyrical, very poetic. Very metaphorical, if you will. I don't think I like the constant outfit descriptions. I do find that to be a little bit annoying. Like, I know I do like to know what characters are wearing, but like listing every single piece and all the designers and like BJ's outfits are ugly. I'm sorry. Sorry. In a way though, it does kind of remind me of the Click books that I read in middle school and how those little girlies were describing their designer outfits. So maybe I can get around it. I don't love it right now. And again, I know I'm kind of labeling this a romance, but this is more messy drama. People say it is like a British Gossip Girl. I personally never got into Gossip Girl. Don't hate me, but I do love rich people drama. So like, that's not an issue for me. People also say don't go into this if you are expecting like a cute little love story, and I'm not. People say that there's cheating in this. I've already seen it. BJ can eat dirt for all I care. Like, their relationship is messy. One critique I do see about this book is that people find the characters and the situations very annoying, which I can understand that. However, when it comes to Magnolia and BJ, I feel like I can feel for Magnolia. I have sympathy for Magnolia. Like, the love of your life cheats on you, that's gonna be pretty traumatic. Like, I have sympathy for the girl not being able to let him go, still loving him, going through all of this with him. Like, I can understand it. However, BJ, like I said, can eat dirt. I feel like nothing he says or does is valid to me, and it's just like, I don't care. I don't care how you feel. So yeah. That's how we're feeling right now. I don't think I'm ever gonna like BJ. Like, in my eyes, he is irredeemable. And I don't understand how people do like his character, but maybe there's just more to come. But I don't know. I think I'm a hater. Also, BJ's a stupid name. So it's a little bit later. I've just been sitting in the same spot and reading all morning, and now I'm like halfway through. And why do people root for Magnolia and BJ to get back together? I'm rooting for her to get revenge, but I know people who have like read this series love Magnolia and BJ together, and I'm not understanding. I already like all of the other male characters better than BJ. Like, I just read the line where she's talking to Christian. This is like a flashback, but she asks him, "What's your face so serious all the time for?" And he says, "It's serious business loving you." That right there. I don't know. Even if I don't end up liking this, I still feel like I'm gonna have to read the other books to understand why people root for Magnolia and BJ. Because I told you, right now I'm rooting for revenge. And I have decided the outfit descriptions are very annoying. I don't like that. Those are the current thoughts. We'll see if my mind changes, but I don't think it will. class, what do we like about BJ? Nothing. So it's the next day. I literally just finished this, and I don't think I have ever felt this conflicted about a book before. Also, if you can hear that, yeah, that's the wind. It's very windy today. I truly have never been this confused about my feelings towards a book before. For example, half of me spent the entire time reading this wishing that Magnolia would just stop describing people's outfits and beat BJ's ass. But then the other half of me is kind of hooked. Something within me actually wants to keep reading these books. And I'm definitely going to be reading the next book for sure, because that's like the Daisy Hates books and they're different characters. And I do have a feeling that I will probably like those characters a little bit more than these ones. So I know I will at least be reading that one. Again, I very much understand what people are saying when they talk about Jessa Hastings' writing. I also liked it as well. I just think I would have probably loved it if she was writing about characters that I actually wanted to be together. Every time BJ talked about their fated love or how much he loved her, I couldn't believe it. BJ is just so invalid to me. Everything he said, everything he felt, I'm a hater. And it only got worse. The ending of this book only made it worse. Every other male in this book was a better option than him. If you have read these books and you actually like BJ and Magnolia together, or you root for them to be together, or you like BJ as a character, please explain. Leave me a little comment down below without spoiling anything. I am just so surprised at my feelings. Like, I have never felt this way, where I really didn't like a lot of this, but I like it at the same time. And I don't know what to call that. I also only ever really see very positive reviews for these books, and never anyone who's kind of like, what's going on here? So again, if you also feel this way, let me know so I'm not alone. I think I need to simmer on this one. I was entertained, the writing was pretty, but I was also very annoyed a lot of the time. This was a very interesting reading week for me. I was so genuinely surprised by yours truly. I actually quite loved this very much, and I tabbed it, and it is just a straight romance book, which is not at all what I gravitate towards. So ended up having really good feelings about this. Still very indifferent towards normal people. And then this, which we just talked about. This was just a very odd week of me stepping out of my comfort zone, exploring a new genre that I don't really read. And again, let me reiterate, I am not anti-romance. I have nothing against romance. So when I say I'm a non-romance reader, I just mean like, it's not what I gravitate towards. But as you can clearly see, I can like a romance book. I'll talk about these two more in my monthly wrap-up once a little bit more time has passed, and we'll see if my feelings have changed at all on these two. But I guess that would be it for this one. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I know that all the books I read in this video were very popular books, and I know most of you have probably already read them. So let's talk about them, because again, I'm very unclear on some of my feelings. So if you guys want to talk to me, we can chat about them, because I would also love to know your opinions. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you decide to stick around, and I'll see you in the next one.